I just saw this video, and I think it's funny from start to finish. It comes from CBS News, and I thought it was funny from start to finish, so I'm just going to play it for you.
Most of us may be focusing on summer fun right now. Health officials are already working on a plan to prevent a repeat of last winter's tripledemic of respiratory illnesses.
Oh, the health officials are working on a plan to help us with a pandemic. Oh, pray tell. What is the wonderful plan that they've come up with to help us fight the triple pandemic we're supposed to be going into? Let's see.
The plan involves vaccines, and this year the CDC...
Oh, vaccines!
Hey,
so it's not about getting in shape. It's not about doing early treatments. It's not about making sure you're healthier and building up your immune system. All it's about is vaccines. There's a solution to every problem. You know, I don't know about you, Kurt, but I'm an insomniac, so I'm hoping they come out with that sleep vaccine pretty soon.
Yeah. Well, I'm just overjoyed of how many new things are now called a vaccine that weren't just years ago.
Watch all the things they call a vaccine in here, Kurt. Watch this.
Is recommending 3 of them.
3!
One for COVID, the flu, and a new one for RSV.
So you got to get 3 vaccines this fall.
Okay.
See,
I'm going to be waiting in line. I'm going to have a tent the night before.
I'm gonna, just like when I'm waiting out for the new iPhone. Yeah. Here we go.
This comes after last winter saw some 58,000 deaths from the flu during the peak season.
So about 60,000 people die from the flu. That's pretty much what happens every year, right?
In all of America?
In America, 60,000 from the flu.
Yeah, that just sounds like...
And those are usually elderly people who have diabetes and cancer and high blood pressure and all kinds of things, right? Those are usually the people who die from the flu, and those are usually people who need to get a flu shot. Now, I always thought it was called a flu shot, but they refer to it as a vaccine.
Yeah.
And you know why? Because they changed the definition of what a vaccine is.
I read the debunking of the idea that they changed what a vaccine is. And I'll sum up the Snow. I didn't. What wasn't Snopes is the other one. Basically, a vaccine is whatever we say it is.
That's it.
That's the entire argument.
So now they got 3 vaccines coming at you. 3. They call them vaccines anyway. I thought it was always the flu shot, but now it's a vaccine. Here we go.
While roughly 50,000 died from COVID.
And by the way, they call the COVID vaccine a vaccine, even though after you can get 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of those COVID vaccines, and you can still get COVID, and you can still transmit COVID.
That's amazing. That's a great vaccine.
That's a great vaccine.
And bizarrely, some people I know who got a lot of that great vaccine have COVID right now.
That's wild.
I mean, you just get more vaccine, I guess.
You know how we all got the measles, mumps, and mumps vaccines, and then, we always get the measles and mumps all the time. That's how vaccines work, Kurt.
Well,
today it is. That's not how Here we go. But it's just safe and effective. It certainly is. Here we go.
November 22 and March 2023, and 10,000 from RSV, which also saw more than double the number of...
So they're saying more people died from the flu than died from COVID.
What?
Is that what they're saying? That's what it looks like they're saying.
Well, because it's a tripledemic, Jimmy.
It's a tripledemic. So now we have to. So now we got another thing to scare the shit out of you, because they say 10,000 people died from this thing called RSV. 10,000 in the whole country. So you better make sure you get your RSV. So they don't go, wait a minute, more people died from the regular flu than from our special flu called the COVID?
As the great Dr. Bill Gates once said, it's a bit different.
It's a bit different.
It's similar.
As the great doctor. Here we go.
Hospitalizations. Health officials say the 3 shots will greatly help lower those numbers, but there are some concerns.
Let's bring in Dr. William Schaffner. He is...
So first of all, it sounds very close to William Shatner.
Yeah, I
George Takei probably loves that from first go, but definitely hates this guy.
No, he likes this guy.
I mean, he likes this guy,
Kirk.
but he hates Captain Kirk. That guy screwed that joke up. Sorry.
What a face for lab work this guy has.
Well, if this Dr. Schaffner thinks I'm taking another vaccine for RSV, he can S my D. So let's listen to what Dr. Schaffner have to say. Boy, this guy.
Why do all these guys look like somebody stretched a human skin over some kind of a monster? Every single one.
professor of infectious diseases at Vanderbilt University Medical Center.
And he walks around with a white lab coat on all day long, just like Dr. Hotez does. Even when he's at home eating hamburgers and pizza, he has a microscope under one arm and his lab coat on, and then he's eating junk food on this.
This one's probably a heavy smoker, is my guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess he's a smoker.
Hotez is the eater.
Yeah, and this guy's the alcoholic.
Dr. Schaffner, welcome. So how did these respiratory illnesses become so virulent last year?
Well, Elaine, what happened probably is that before then, we were all locked down, wearing masks, children staying home from school, and we reversed all that, right?
So he's saying that masks and lockdowns stop airborne viruses. Now, I don't know if anybody knows anything, but this guy's lying.
Wow. Dr. Schaffner makes Peter Hotez look like Anthony Fauci. That's how bad.
That's how bad. So this guy is saying that if we would have just stayed locked down and everyone wore masks, that's how you could beat flu viruses and coronaviruses. That's what he's saying. It's not true.
What's his first name?
But that's what he's saying. I don't know. Dr. Schaffner, that's all I know.
I thought it was William.
Is it
William Schaffner?
No.
Yes,
His
that's
name's
why.
William Schaffner.
So Kurt, do you realize what he's saying? She asked the first question she asked, how did we get all these airborne virus deaths, respiratory deaths? He said, because we stopped wearing masks and we stopped locking down. That's the first thing he says.
Is this
Now,
all AI?
They just keep saying this on
the two
corporate
reporters
television.
like, hey, where did all the triple demic come from?
Listen, you know what? Listen to what the reporter actually says. When he says it, the reporter goes, Watch, listen.
We were all locked down, wearing masks, children staying home from school, and we reversed all that, right? We were protected from the viruses by all those lockdowns.
No,
and
What?
Slipping that one in.
What he just said, we were protected from the viruses.
We all got the virus.
We all locked down.
I was vaccinated.
We all got vaccinated. We all locked down, and we all wore masks, and we all got the virus. By the way, the flu virus, I don't know if you know, took a break for 2 years.
Oh.
Nobody died from flu for 2 years. Isn't that wild? I bet the flu virus is like, COVID's got it covered. We don't need to kill anybody.
You don't think it was counted as COVID?
So there's no chance that people were dying of the regular flu and they were counting it as COVID. There's not a chance that that was happening, right?
I'll wait till
Because if
William
that
Schaffner.
happened and I said that happened, I would get my channel shut down. So I'm not saying that.
Oh.
I'm not saying that people were dying from the flu for the last 2 years and the CDC and the FDA were lying and saying that everybody dying from the regular flu was dying from COVID. I'm not saying that, because if I did say that, that would counter, and I can't say that.
Well, that's not suspicious.
So this guy said that the lockdowns and the masks stopped us from getting the virus, except we all got the virus.
Can we say that?
I think we can say that. Here we go. Let's listen to more. So now, what else do you think? Isn't this amazing? There's still, and these two reporters, they're not reporters, right? They're people who showed up to a modeling job, and they asked them if you can read a teleprompter, you've got a news job.
They sound like pageant contestants when they say all their things.
That's exactly what they are. They're pageant contestants. Here we go.
Then we opened things up, took off our masks, sent the kids back to school, and the viruses had an opportunity to spread. And they did last year.
Why is he talking like this? We're opening them up, and the virus got a chance to spread. You know, Sweden did not lock down at all for COVID, and they didn't have any worse outcomes. And they didn't lock down their school. Their kids went to school every day. They didn't close down their schools in Sweden. The same outcomes. Better, actually, I think, in Sweden. So this guy
is even as crazy as the mask thing here, by the way.
He's still doing this.
Yeah.
This is stunning to me. It should be. I don't know how. Here we go. And where are my friends? Where are my? There's comedians. I'll still never. They won't tell jokes about this. They won't tell jokes about it. Even Dana Carvey's doing jokes about this. Right? A comedian from 30 years ago. I don't know. Was it that long ago he was on Saturday Night Live? It was at least 25 years ago.
It's a while now.
Yeah.
They started early, they started vigorously, and there were three of those viruses active, those respiratory viruses, at the same time. Flu, COVID, and this other virus that people are just hearing about, RSV.
Which totally came from nature, and we didn't invent in a lab. Believe me, we're done doing that. Okay, here we go.
Do you think people at the Infectious Diseases Society of America would even be doing something like that?
Dr. Schaffner, when we talk about these three, can you take all three vaccines at once, flu, COVID, and RSV?
Wait.
Michael, I don't think too many people will want to do that. I will tell you that flu...
Why would he say it like that? Why wouldn't he just say no? Why wouldn't he just say, no, you don't want to do that? Why would he go, I don't think too many people... Why does he talk like that? This is how a used car salesman talks, and this is a guy who knows he's lying. So that's what this guy... So what this guy is, he's selling you vaccines. That's what this guy's doing. And that's what a salesman would say. Instead of, hey, can I take all these three at once? And he knows that's not good. A normal person would say, no, don't do that. But a guy who's selling something, meaning a vaccine, would say it like he just said it. I don't know too many people would want to do that. And then smile about it. Why are you smiling about a bad thing that would happen if you took all three vaccines at once? Why does that make you giggle? And it makes him giggle because he's evil and he's trying to sell you something while bullshitting you. That's what this guy's doing. That's what corporate news does because it's sponsored by Pfizer and Moderna and Johnson & Johnson. That's why. And I've got to tiptoe around the truth here, or I'll get my channel taken down, but they can lie. How many times have I pointed out where the corporate news have lied about COVID? They've lied about the vaccines. They've lied about natural immunity, herd immunity, masks, everything 6 ways to Sunday. And still, they never get taken down on YouTube. But I got to watch what I say when I'm debunking them. Okay, here we go.
And COVID are well studied. They work well.
So listen to what he says about the vaccines. They're all well studied. Wait, here we go. So should we take all three vaccines at once, doctor? Should we? No, the answer should be no. But here's how he says it.
Flu, COVID, and RSV?
Michael, I don't think too many people will want to do that. I will tell you that.
Why? Why would you say it like that?
No people? No people should do that?
Why? How about should any people do? Why would you say it like that?
Even Jim Jeffries, who had his kid, he has a whole bit about, I remember, about how he took his son to get every single vaccine on the same day, and he thought he gave his kid autism, and it turned out you're never supposed to give them all the vaccines at once. But never mind being pro anti-vaccine, you're never supposed to do that. Okay, like that's a well-known thing with vaccine. Nothing anti-vaccine about it. Anybody knows about it will say it. It's crazy that he's putting it that way and not saying, no, of course not. You don't do multiple at the same time.
Well, here's why he says this.
People will want to do that. I will tell you that flu and COVID are well studied. They work well.
The COVID vaccine is well studied according to him, even though it usually takes 10 years to study how a vaccine actually works and what the long-term effects are. He's telling you that it's already well studied. I already showed you that this guy's a liar. So do you believe him when he says that? Because well studied would mean 10 years.
And no, you're not allowed to see the studies.
And you're not allowed to see the data from the studies for 75 years. So this guy's handpicked from Big Pharma to come on the show. Where does the producer at CBS News, sponsored by Pfizer, decide to get a doctor to talk about vaccines? You don't think that Pfizer tells them who to pick? They do. Okay, here we go.
Together.
So he's telling you that the COVID vaccine has been well studied.
Many people will want to do that. I will tell you that flu and COVID are well studied. They work well together. RSV and flu, they work well together. How do you know that? How long have you been giving the flu and the COVID vaccine together? How long have you been doing that? 5 years? 10 years? How long have you studied it? They've studied it months.
Cocaine and alcohol have been studied longer together.
What is it? Well studied? They work well together? How do you know that? How long have they been studied? How long? 12 months? 14 months?
I
How
think
long have you been studying those?
I think I'll just take Bill Schaffner's word for it.
Yeah, here we go.
In a somewhat diminished response on the flu side.
So if you took the RSV vaccine with the flu vaccine, it would then diminish the effectiveness of the flu shot. That's what he's saying.
Oh, how long do I have to wait to get all three?
But listen to how he says it, too. Listen to how he says it.
Well together. RSV and flu, it resulted in a somewhat diminished response on the flu side. So I think RSV probably ought to be taken alone, separate from the other two.
Probably. Why does he use all these weird qualifying words?
Because if you want to, go ahead and have them all. What am I? What am I, a real doctor? I don't know. You get them all.
Probably. Well, what does the data show, asshole? Does the data show you should or you shouldn't? You're claiming you have data. You're saying they've already studied. It's well studied. So why don't you tell us what the study said? Did the study say you should or shouldn't?
Well, he is.
It's weird that he uses these.
At that foundation, he's the guy who's in charge of medical communications, which means talking to you like you're four.
Yeah, but he's also talking to you like a guy trying to sell you a vaccine.
It's all advertising. These are all marketing terms.
These
so
are
tripledemoc. You think that's a normal medical term?
That's not right. It's exactly right. That's a marketing term. Exactly right. Here, back to this asshole.
Well, we know, doctor, that generally the vaccines are especially important for seniors and people with underlying health conditions. Are there some groups that should not get the shots, or at least not all three of them?
Okay, so thank God at least some semblance of a question.
It's probably in the bullet points. This sounds like you have an ad and you got to hit the points.
Okay, yeah.
Well, so far, RSV is recommended with discussion with your doctor for people age 60 and older. So we can put RSV aside for that group. Other than that, I think COVID and influenza vaccine will be both widely recommended. We know influenza's vaccine is already recommended for everyone 6 months of age and older.
What?
Wow. I didn't know that the flu shot, I didn't know they gave babies the flu shot. Did you know that? Did you know that?
You are a real colossal, I don't know if
piece of it, huh?
Yeah, if you put that in a baby, I mean,
you
you're
know,
a moron if you put that in a six.
Did you know they gave flu vaccines to babies? Did you know that, Misha? Steph, did you know they gave flu?
I mean, you have to be the most brain dead millennial only. Nobody, Gen X and before would be that stupid to do that. That's a millennial
Kurt,
only.
I'm not contradicting the CDC or the FDA or
I'm not talking about the great COVID vaccine. Of course, give that to a kid.
Of course.
I'm talking about a flu shot. COVID's a special. Well, I mean, it's a bit different. Bill Gates told us.
Yeah.
But a flu shot, I've never heard of that in my life. That you would give that to a 6-month-old. The whole point
he's saying that. He just
the CDC recommends a flu vaccine by the end of October before flu begins spreading in your community. And they say some children 6 months through 8 years of age may need 2 doses for best protection.
Some children? Which children?
They have
what?
Leukemia, or they're on getting.
Yeah, maybe something like that. Like if a kid has a comorbidity, you want to flu shot him, maybe. Holy F.
I mean,
and
obviously,
the recommendations for the new COVID booster that we anticipate this fall, they'll become
Nice.
COVID. Why do they keep calling it boosters? Why does it?
'cause
Why do
it's
they?
not
Why isn't it just another vaccine? They don't call the flu shot a flu booster. You don't get a booster every year. You get a new flu shot.
Which part of the speedball is it?
You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
Every year they don't call it a flu vaccine booster.
Well, it's almost like how breakthrough infection was a nonsense.
So they're
term.
just making up terms.
A booster.
A booster.
You just got another shot. That's right. I didn't even think of that until you just said it. Actually, I've been saying booster. We're just saying it's the same great vaccine that worked really well.
Yeah, we got to take another vaccine booster.
Don't be ashamed of it. It's great. It worked great. We all got it.
And they'll probably also be rather widely recommended.
And Doctor, talking about COVID, do we have any information yet on how resistant the latest COVID mutation is?
Well, so far, fortunately, you see my fingers are crossed. These COVID variants that are showing up are all related to the Omicron family, and they should be covered by this new vaccine that is going to be available this fall.
They should be. They should. Look, do you hear all the mealy mouth words this guy
I hear
uses?
him talking to these two adults as if they were Sesame Street puppets, because they are.
That is how he is talking.
Well, Grover.
Well, they should be. Well, this new one.
I don't want to get one. Oscar the Grouch, you got to get your booster. Triple-demic.
Interesting. All right, Dr. Schaffner, while we have you here, the FDA has just given full approval for the
Okay, they're talking about.
Is this an infomercial? What is this?
No kidding.
Right.
There's a new Alzheimer drug, and so then they go on to talk about that.
This is like when you see a half-hour show that was for like a juice machine, and you'd be like, "What is this? A show?" Like, why do they act like we've all been watching this for years?
This is like for the bullet blender. They're going to show you, look, you just put that in. Look, we got you a nice little drink. Mike, look, and put this in.
Wow. Well, that's a good thing of buying out the news is you don't have to put for promotional uses.
That's right.
This is not the news when
That's
you own
right.
the news.
That's right. You don't have to go. This is an
How do you not
advertisement.
see that if you watch? I just don't watch the news, so that's how I never notice how bad it is. But
I know. I came across this accidentally. I was looking up something else on YouTube, and that came up, and I was like, get the F. They said triple-demic in the headline or something. I was like, get out of here. And I watched it. I couldn't. My jaw was on the floor. I couldn't believe they're still doing this. I can't believe they're still doing this.
the whole thing's an infomercial.
Hey, come see us on tour. We'll be in Baltimore, San Francisco, Huntington Beach, Rosemont, and Chicago, Las Vegas, Salt Lake City, New York City, Pottstown, Pennsylvania, Stamford, Connecticut, and more, and St. Louis. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all our tickets for all our shows.